Hello and welcome to a new video on Progressive Coder. Today we are going to talk about getting started with NestJS, the framework that is getting ever more popular. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe and also press the bell icon. So without wasting any time, let's start with our discussion. So what is NestJS? Well, NestJS is a framework based on NodeJS. But a framework for what? To build server-side applications. Think of APIs, microservices, or your typical backend applications. NestJS supports Typescript. In fact, Typescript is the preferred way of building Nest applications. NestJS also uses elements of object-oriented programming. Now in the background, NestJS uses HTTP server frameworks such as Express and Fastify. Basically, NestJS provides a layer of abstraction over these HTTP frameworks. However, it also exposes their APIs to the developers. So you can use any third-party package available for these frameworks within NestJS. But how is NestJS different from any other Node.js framework? The difference is in its approach to application architecture. NestJS provides an opinion-driven architecture to create a loosely coupled and modular application. Application design in NestJS is built on configuration, and many aspects are declarative in nature. With NestJS, there is very little ambiguity in terms of how to design your application. So moving on, how do we generate a NestJS project? There are a couple of options. We can use the Nest CLI or command line interface, or we can clone a starter project. In my view, it is better to use the Nest CLI. Apart from helping to generate a project, Nest CLI also provides other features such as code generation, which we will see in subsequent videos. To use Nest CLI, we first need to install the required package. While installing, we use the global flag. This is because we want to install the CLI globally on our system. Now using the CLI, we can generate a new project using this command, nest new flight service. This command will create a new project directory named flight service. The directory will contain the initial NestJS files. We will get to those in a minute. The command will also create the basic project structure. Only one thing to note is that the CLI will prompt you for the choice of package manager. You can choose between npm or yarn. I usually go with npm, but yarn also works great. So what's inside the CLI generated project? If we look at the source directory, we will see a bunch of files, and these are basically the most important files for our application. First is the app.controller.ts. This file basically contains a controller with an example root handler. Second is the unit test file for the controller. Third, we have the app.module.ts file. This is a root module of our NestJS application. Then we have app.service.ts file. This is a NestJS service with a single demo method. And finally, we have the main.ts file. This is the entry file for our application. This is where we will create the application instance. Let's look at the main.ts file in more detail. This file contains an async function named bootstrap. This function will bootstrap our entire application. If you are not aware of it, bootstrapping basically means loading a particular program into the system's memory for execution. It is essentially the first piece of code that runs when we try to start our application. The bootstrap function creates a Nest application instance by using the core Nest factory class. This class is part of the NestJS Core Package. Basically, the Nest factory class exposes a few static methods to create an application instance. The create method is one such method. It takes the application root module as input and returns an application or app object. For your information, this app object uses the iNest application interface. You can read about it later on. Due to this interface, the app object now has several methods that can be used for different requirements. We will be using those methods in future videos. However, for the time being, we are only interested in starting up a HTTP listener using the listen method. The listen method takes the port number as input. The HTTP listener makes our application wait for incoming HTTP requests. We can now run the application using the npm run start command. In case we want to instruct NestJS to watch our code changes, to rebuild and redeploy, we can use npm run start and :dev command. If you are wondering where these commands are coming from, these commands are defined in the script section of the package.json file. When the application does a startup, we can visit localhost 3000 and see a hello world message in the browser window. This is simply a hard-coded message coming from the default controller. So that was all about getting started with NestJS. But the journey for NestJS is only beginning. In the next video, we will go further and look at how to create a NestJS controller. If this video was helpful, please do like and also leave a comment. It helps the channel grow, and see you until the next time.